And hello and welcome. We are here on the April live stream. We've got a number of things on the agenda today. Let me bring up the agenda. So, first to kick it off, we had a great event, AWS event in San Francisco last week. If you're available on the 22nd and you might find yourself somewhere around in Austin, Texas, please come join us. We're going to be doing another one of these events. um, we've got a lot of things that we do at these events. So we talk about artificial intelligence, what we're doing on the platform. We even have some people from the language technology side talk about their work with artificial intelligence and language translation. And we've got a number of things that we're doing on the language side. We also have a number of things that we're doing on the Tridion side. And what we do is on these presentations, we talk about how we're using AWS in conjunction with AI. So there's a number of different components from AWS, like AWS Bedrock, AWS SageMaker, and we explain how we use it within the product, how we're continuing to use more and more modules from AWS in conjunction with Tridion. So it's a pretty exciting event. It's also really good just to go meet some people, have some discussions. We typically have people from product management, engineering, professional services, and of course sales on there. So it's very good. I actually loaded up the slides on our community. If you want to go onto the community, you can see the what we presented. So if that's of interest, please come join us. If not, take a look at the slides. It was really great. So we also have the Q2 roadmap has been published onto the community. So every quarter we're publishing out the roadmap. We added in a couple new things. So first of all, people have been asking about, well, can I see like the feature version comparison because I'm thinking about upgrading. So that's inside the new roadmap. We also put in some screenshots of blueprinting 3.0. And I know some of you on the live stream might be thinking, hey, wait a second, whatever happened to blueprinting 2.0? Well, as it turns out, we actually released 2.0, or in air quotes 2.0, earlier on in a couple releases back, and that was where we put in some sort of features that are a little bit behind the scenes. And so R&D really felt that we should be calling this 3.0, and I agree. So the blueprinting 3.0 is going to be coming out with Tridion Sites 10.1. 10.1 is scheduled to be coming out in November, and that we're going to have more information and more information about release activities as we get closer to the date. So always stay tuned to the community and take a look at the quarterly roadmap that's there. In just a second, I'm going to go through a demo. This will be the first demo that we're doing live on the live stream, and then we're going to have a little panel discussion. I'm going to invite Alvin Reyes, my colleague from professional services, and we're going to be talking about search, and we're also going to be talking about content modeling implications of blueprinting 3.0. So with that, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the demo over here. So this demo is something that I wanted to show because this is one of our newest partners, a company called AI12Z. And if you're interested in this product, you'll be able to get it and license it through RWS, and it's got a very flexible licensing scheme, and it's something that regardless of your web property, you'll be able to put this AI powered chatbot onto your platform. So if we take a look at the different types of projects that we have here, and actually let me go down and find one. We're calling this the travel magazine. So in this dashboard, you'll be able to put different types of documents, and these documents can either be your website, and we're working on a connector right now. So within Tridion Sites, you'll be able to have a direct connection to Tridion, and then from there, you'll be able to take a look at the data, like all the different queries that come through. Take a look at some of the analytics, and for the end user, it's got a very compelling way of sifting through your content and really finding the essence of what you're looking for. And it's so remarkable that without a lot of guidance and a lot of user intervention or a lot of curation, it really zeroes down on the answer. So, for example, you can ask it. We what we did is we consumed a travel magazine type website. We pulled it all into AI1 2Z, and now from here we could easily say, hey, like tell me about Taipei. It gives you questions, it answers your questions quite reasonably. You'll notice over here that it's got like R1 or R2. Those are like the different kinds of references. You could even, so that if you're thinking about this as an entry point into an actual page, you could have this as the summary, and then people will be able to click on to the R1, R2. You also can have follow-up questions. So like, what about uh, uh, children's activities? And it's able to continue the questioning, and using the previous questions and the previous answers as the context. So now, I'm within the context of Taiwan, and I can ask about the what about the children's activities, and it all comes up. And this is so remarkable because it works so well and it's so seamless, and there's not much work to do in terms of setting it up. So we can set this up for you today, and it is a very good type of proof of concept that you could go and you could show to other members of your team. So I would reach out to your account executive if this is of interest to you. And as I said before, we're coming up with a connector which is going to make things even more seamless. And as you publish content into Tridion, it's going to get indexed by this intelligent chatbot, and you won't have to do anything. And the nice thing about doing it on the back end side of things is that we're not only going to be consuming the content itself, but then we can also consume the metadata of the content, to be able to put down some more guardrails in terms of how you want this content to be used. So this is fascinating. It's available now. Please feel free to reach out to me or to any member of your account team if you're interested in getting a quick proof of concept going. So with that, I'm going to bring on our guest panelists, Alvin Reyes, and let's go through. And there we go. Welcome, Alvin. Welcome to the live stream.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Greg. Glad to be here.
Well, it's funny. I've got a cold too, so part of me if I'm not coming through clearly. So Alvin, as I'm going through this intelligent chatbot and working through some of my queries, etc., I feel as if there's sort of a fundamental shift that's going on in terms of the way that people are going to be searching for content, retrieving content. And I know search, it's still a huge topic, and a lot of companies aren't particularly satisfied with their on-site search. What are your thoughts on search?
Yeah, I agree. I think search in general is one of those things that, the big players in the industry where Google search sets a bar. And in organizations, marketing and people are asking, I want search just like that.
Right.
And then as AI and large language models are now a thing across lots of organizations, there's kind of this race to get there.
Hmm.
And one thing I just want to make sure that I hope organizations don't miss is a lot of this depends on good content, quality content, managed well, and I hate to say it, but backed by taxonomies and keywords and tags, so that when you're working on an AI project, the system can retrieve good quality content, with reduced duplicates and things like that.
Yeah, it's funny because at the AWS conference, I was talking about content hygiene as being like a key component to incorporating AI, because a lot of times people they've got some duplicated content. They could have done some things a little bit differently. And I think it's part of bringing in this new technology is about taking a step back, looking at your content. And, some of our customers have been with us for over a decade. And, things happen to your content over a decade. And,
Yeah.
little things start to creep in. So as I understand it, in professional services, we've got, the content supply life cycle. Uh, I guess we call it solution that we have, where we go in and we take a look at the global content, where we sort of match up the people's um, content lifecycle with the global content operating model. Is there also in professional services sort of an add-on in terms of being able to help them clean up their content?
Um, it might not necessarily in my group, but as an organization, RWS, we offer both the content services and the language services. So that's something interesting. One of the things I've been doing more is also working with content strategists and partners
Hmm.
that kind of do the deep dive into content strategy. We do offer the content supply chain advisory service,
Right.
CSC advisory service. And that's where we look at the end to end process to create, translate, deliver content. Um, looking for things that could be made easier or improved in general. But yeah, if that's something interesting, reach out if we can't help with something particular. That's something we'll bring on the right people
Hmm.
to help get that quality content.
And something that's of note as well, if anybody has a content creation type problem, we actually have a solution from a different part of RWS, an editorial services solution, and they've made their services available. If you need help writing content and creating content, we actually have a team that's available to augment your own team. And they did a lot of work with Google, like on the Google Maps, like some of their descriptions that's actually coming from the RWS content team. So if you've got a problem where you've got a lot of things that need to be described, we do have that available. And I think I'll reach out to them, maybe get them onto the live stream next month. But final thoughts with search and chatbots is, I think we're going to go into this phase where people are going to incorporate the chatbot on the AI chatbot, like on the right hand side. So people will put in the text, their search query. They're still going to get the keyword results in the main part of the panel, and on the sidebar region, you're going to get the AI results, and then eventually the AI part's going to be in the main part of the screen, and then the keywords are going to be relegated to the sidebar. And then, of course, with the natural cycle, eventually that sidebar is going to go away, and everything's just going to be driven through an AI chatbot. That's my prediction
It's
for.
it's happening. You're seeing that with Microsoft's Copilot. I think it's still beta, where the search box comes up on the side, like literally on the right side,
Right.
and you get the results, and it has links. And I can imagine that eventually just gets pulled into the main
Into the main
interface.
panel.
Anytime you do search,
Yeah.
there will be some AI as part of it. AI
Yeah.
specifically with generative AI and LLMs, augmented with your actual content, ideally,
Hmm.
rather than just
Yeah.
coming up with stuff.
Yeah, and as long as there's a reference and you can actually get links to the sources, I think people will be pretty happy with that, because if you think about search and retrieval scenarios, a lot of time is spent like just trying to navigate your way down to the right particular document. And if you could just not only provide like a quick answer immediately, but then also just really point them to the right thing, I think that's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk quickly about Blueprinting 3.0. So
3.0.
yeah, so I know we were joking about the change from 2.0 to 3.0, but if you think about it, what we've got now is we're going to roll out 3.0, and one of the key things in 3.0, not only we're going to bring like promote and demote into the new user interface, which is like an amazing feature, but you also are going to be able to have more granular inheritance. So, in other words, you could have field level inheritance for your content model, as opposed to just component-based inheritance. So Alvin, what are your thoughts on field level inheritance?
This changes content modeling uh, just a little bit on the blueprinting 2.0. There was a shift when mobile sites started coming out. We already had the classic diamond blueprint where you're sharing design and content to come together, make your sites.
Hmm.
And then when mobile was a thing, there was a separation, and then now blueprints had like double the number of publishing publications. And then when responsive came, it consolidated again. So in terms of blueprinting and this word best practices, I'm not particular about best practices. It's more about good practices that fit your solution. Blueprinting did go through phases. It has been changing. So I don't want to make too much light of blueprinting 2.0.
Right.
The semantic web was a thing. Responsive design was a thing, and blueprints were matching the changes in how we did web in
Yep.
general. So now with the idea of, I think we're calling them non-localizable fields.
Yep.
Another way to look at it is global fields, fields that in your content model
Right.
should be the same across. We've had this just a little bit with keywords. So if you tag something, you can have an identifier that was the same
Right.
across all the languages, all the localizations. But now you can apply the same concept in the next release of Tridion sites to any particular field um, in your model. And what this gets you is that granular control of global control over specific fields. And these would be things like keys, identifiers, things that part of your organization, like marketing, want to control. That this needs to be set at a global level, but the rest of the fields can change. And I think this is going to have a nice impact both on the experience of your visitors
Hmm.
as well as your authors, because you don't have to separate components into the global part and the
Right.
localizable part and then have lots of little components.
Yeah.
Um, it is the strength of the system to have lots of components, but I've talked to authors and editors, and it's sometimes it's a pain to create the container component and the component that goes inside the container component
Right.
all separately, right? So
Yeah.
now it could be more consolidated, and some of the fields you can set at the parent level, at the topmost owning sorry, where the component is local, if I have to get my terminology right. And then other things are localizable within the lower publications.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like people are really going to be able to simplify a lot of things within their content model, and be able to really address some other types of use cases as well in a much more streamlined way. And I think it's going to be much more natural for some of the content authors to incorporate the sort of non-localizable or global fields. And actually, I think maybe we should call it global in the user interface. I think that's they'll resonate a little bit more. And one thing about it is that it's not only sort of localization type use cases, it also can be like multi-brand use cases where this could become incredibly handy.
Yep. Yep. And another one is configuration, especially when you have content that needs to go across lots of different systems.
Right.
Knowing what it is and identifying it as the same thing is important, and
Yeah.
that even goes back to search and finding those relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're almost at time. It doesn't look like we've got any questions in the chat. So let me see. Any final thoughts, Alvin?
Final thoughts? No, I just really excited and happy to hear how the San Francisco event came. I was writing it out and it was AWS RWS. So did anyone make that pun at the event?
Oh, like to, maybe have the A turn into an R, and
Yeah,
just say, no, but that's
yeah.
actually a pretty good visual. We should, we should do that.
You gotta take advantage of that next time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was a really good session. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to record any of the things at the AWS Innovation Center, but we do have the slides up on the community. So if you're curious, please do feel free to peruse the slides, and we'd be happy to get into a discussion. We could talk to you about like some of those innovations that we're doing on the AI front.
Good stuff.
And with that, I think we are done. Well, thank you so much, Alvin, and we'll see everyone next month.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.